So today I'm working on the 2500 HD 2002 Project Midnight. Said I had a different noise, another noise after I did the brakes. Pulled the drive shaft off. It was coming from the rear. I thought maybe the rear axle or something. But I pulled the drive shaft out. Pretty sure I found the issue. And the issue is this rear joint. You probably can't see, but when I pulled this off, a bunch of the bearings, needle bearings, just fell off and they were ground into powder, a lot of them. It's not supposed to look like that. It should be nice and a little bit of grease in there. Should kind of turn like this one here. And yeah, we got a bad joint. So we're going to replace this one. We got clips here that got to come off. And then I'll be using my little tool that I've used quite a few times now for these universal joints. So I'm going to get started. Okay, so just pulled the clips off on the outside of this drive shaft. Sometimes the clips are a different spot. Sometimes they're on the inside. Sometimes the factory joints are held in by plastic, actually melted in from the factory. So you just kind of look around, see how they're secured, and then take them off. This is the method I usually use to change U-joints. I use my U-joint press there. This one's made by Powerbuilt. Works really good. So I'm going to give this a try, see if I can't press these out now that I got the clips off. Hopefully without bending something. This drive shaft looks pretty heavy duty, but it is aluminum. So it is a Spicer drive shaft too. I don't know if you can make that out. With a Spicer U-joint. I got a really nice U-joint to replace it. I'm gonna go with the Super Strength here. Hopefully this is the right one. Moog, greasable. Them are still greased, but we're gonna have to press her the other way now. I'm going to run me a little bit of emery on this side where I got to press the joint back through, just so it's a little smoother, clean it up a little bit. You don't want to get crazy with sanding these joints because you don't want them loose. Okay, so a couple of things before you just throw your new joint in there and start pressing it in. You want to clean up your areas here. I like to use a little emery, but you're not trying to sand it. You do not want to make this opening bigger. You're going to cause yourself trouble. I just like to clean it out a little bit. Also, I dug a bunch of crap out of the clip groove, so you want to make sure that's clean or your clips won't stay in. And then also, if you'd made any burrs or any damage pressing them out, like see here, when I pressed it, the joint went against the drive shaft here and kind of made a burr. So I sanded this down. I actually did it on both sides, so I've sanded that down. You don't want any burrs. You want it nice and smooth, ready for the new joint. So I'm going to start pressing the new one in. Okay, so I'm going to start pressing this new joint in. You got to kind of disassemble it here. And this one is the heavy duty one. Like I said, it's got a grease. It's greasable, unlike the factory one. So we're going to kind of get it started there. And we're going to start pressing her in. It should go on relatively easy like that. There should be no binding or anything. It should go on very easily. Gonna get this one started. Kind of bring it kind of into the joint there, so we don't get the little needle bearing lips caught. And again, this should go in fairly easily. Gotta push it on far enough to get your clips on. Got my new clips here. Okay, now we got to push it back the other way because it's a little loose there. Clean off your workbench before you do this, guys. And there we go. So that's pretty much it. I got to install my little grease cert here for being able to grease this thing. Like you see here, it's really not that hard of a job, especially with this really nice tool here. So this thing's ready to go. It's not tight or anything, so the ears aren't bent. Moves nice and free, but it's tight enough. So we're going to get that in. I was going to get some new straps for this thing and new bolts, and I forgot to ask, so that'll be another time. I know my other U-joint video, I get a little flack for not doing the front joints at the same time. You know, there's no reason to do those front joints. They're tight, they're not making any noise. When they're ready to be replaced, they'll start making noise. So I don't know, there's just, to me, there's no sense in replacing something that's working. So I'm going to save that one for another time. So here's the grease cert. You can see it's kind of flat. It's not really like a normal grease fitting like you would see. So what you're going to need for that fitting there is something like this for your grease gun. It's got a little tip on it. And it's just going to go in there. It's going to push the little ball down, and you're going to fill it with grease. So you might want to pick up one of these for your grease gun. So one other thing I'd like to point out is this drive shaft is aluminum, and it is super light, guys. I'm shocked at how light this thing is. And I guess there's a couple different joints for these drive shafts. So apparently there's another joint for an aluminum yoke. This one you can clearly see it's rusted and it's steel. You can tell by how heavy it is too. It's heavy. So there is another different joint you use if your yoke is aluminum. I guess that's what they said at the auto parts store. So I got the one with the steel yoke, and it went in. It seems like it's working. So those are just some things I wanted to point out. Another thing I'd like to point out is, like, I made some scratches on the drive shaft here. That's so I can install it back the way it came out. I know sometimes that's important. I know I've installed drive shafts, you know, not by marking them, and I haven't really had any trouble. But it's best to be safe than sorry, to mark them and put them back where they came. So one more thing before you install the drive shaft. Clean off your flange where the drive shaft is going onto your rear end. And just clean that off, make sure there's nothing, no rust or crud that's going to cause any problems. Okay, so I got my drive shaft back in. And yes, I can see my rear end is leaking here. Looks like the seal. Might need to do some work to this rear end, but we'll see. Torque for these strap bolts, 19 foot-pounds. The book is telling me. Resist the temptation to just crank those down by hand or by a little impact or something. You want even pressure holding this strap on. That's why there's a torque spec. So you want each bolt having 19 foot-pounds of torque on this thing. So gonna pick up my tools here. We'll go for a test drive and see what she sounds like. Okay, so after some driving around, a few days with the new joint, the noise is gone. So that was the issue. So we're good to go now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.